not yet? Or we just going with it for now?
But we'll
I assume he'll be okay with it.
Yeah, permission and forgiveness and all that.
Yeah, he's taking a break. Who knows where he is? He's probably in the Alps or something.
I'll make sure that he gets a message from us, and we'll double check. Okay, I am a bit hot. People can hear us now.
I'm a little hot too. While you're wearing your full sleeves.
Yep.
Getting to go on another Nintendo shirt buying spree soon.
Yeah, I bought a Banjo-Kazooie shirt, but then at the same time, they had an awesome Celeste hoodie with the mountain on it, and I'm like, man, it's summer, but I need this, so I got that too.
Oh, Nick Turbo, I liked your memes. I was also terrified by them, but I liked them. Thank you, Josh. This GameCube shirt is great.
Okay, so I'm talking there, you're talking there. I am going to turn myself down there and turn myself up here. Okay, and I'm talking at this. That seems a bit hot. Mike's just a tiny bit hot, and then I am going to check this now. Okay.
You have the outro music ready? Did you test that yet?
Yeah. We were testing this the other day, so.
You're not gonna spring the who let the
dogs out
thing, are you? The Africa by Toto or whatever. You're not springing that on me, are you?
Well, not now that you've mentioned it out loud. No. That won't be fun. Yeah. Which one you want? This one, right? Wait, that's not. Okay, hang on. It's not. Oh, I'm glad we checked.
Yeah, I see.
Listen. It's. I don't know. Everything got reset for some reason.
There it is. Although this one, you might actually want to cut out that little intro part.
I'll just have it fade in. I'll do a 5-second fade in because it's as we're leaving, right? So.
Right. Well, that's just why I like that, because it's a little loud and abrasive in the start. There is why.
Right.
I thought we might want to cut it, but
I could do 5-second fade in. There we go. All right. Next time I'll cut that off. All right.
Woof woof, boys.
So that's good. We're sounding good. The music's good. Let me get that out of here. Let's make sure the intro is not blaring now. No, that's just good. That's good. Okay. All right, Mike. I'm ready. I've got the chat here. I can see the super chats when they start coming in.
That's right.
Got the rundown. I've got you're looking good, and I'm looking at the same level. Mike, I'm ready if you are.
I am ready. We can get going.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to count down. I'm going to hit the recording button. I'm going to hit the music, and then it's all you. Okay. 5, 4, 3...
Woof woof. Hi, I'm Mike Minotti, and I'm a Nintendog.
I'm Jeff Grubb, and I'm a Nintendog.
And we are the last of the Nintendogs. Welcome to the second episode of this show, everybody. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing good. I'm doing woof woof. That's exactly what I'm doing.
I was like, I'm not going to actually sound like a dog. I'm just going to say the bark noises.
I like it.
There we go. Good stuff. All right, so welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for watching that first episode. Incredible response. We are already in the iTunes top 10 for video game podcasts. How about that?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Number 8 we got to the last time I checked, and you know what? I think we can go even higher. And I guess to that point, real quick, so I talked about this on GamesBeat Decides. Did not mention it last week because I didn't decide until afterwards. But to help us, get off to a really good start, what I'm looking for from people is reviews of the show on wherever you're listening. I think Apple Podcasts probably makes the biggest difference. But if you
can you even review on Spotify?
I don't know if you can review on Spotify. You can hit the follow button on Spotify. If Spotify is where you listen, that's fine. Show us the follow. If there's a review there, I don't know. Or if maybe there's like a star thing or a thumbs up thing. I don't know. What I want you to do is, wherever you're listening,
all this.
if you give us a review, to take a screenshot of it and send it to me on Twitter with the hashtag Nintendogs. The hashtag's going to help me find it to make sure you get
Nintendogs,
entered.
is that like F boys?
It's like F boys, yeah. I don't want people wondering what the N stands for, so it stands for Nintendogs.
Yeah, maybe we actually. Wow, yeah, maybe we should just. Nintendogs.
Hashtag Nintendogs or hashtag Nintendogs. I'll be looking for both, and if you do that, you're going to be entered for a chance to win sealed copies of Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisp for the Nintendo Switch.
Oh, those are good games. I like those games a lot.
They're fantastic, and they're really good on Switch too. They run really well.
Bizarrely good on Switch. I remember when the Switch version of Will of the Wisp came out, it like ran better than it did on Xbox One X when I reviewed it on there. So yeah, it's a great way to play those games actually, and those are fantastic games. You know, I have my Ori music box over here. I won't play it just now, but I'm a big fan of this.
If you send that screenshot to me, I'll enter you into like the random thing. If you aren't on Twitter for some reason, that's fine. Get in our Discord, discord.gg/game mess, and just reach out to me there, and I'll make sure that I'll make a doc and I'll put everyone's name in there. What else do I want to say? There was something else about this, but oh yes. For this, I will do global. I'll ship anywhere. So if you're not in the United States, like you could still enter. I'll just suck it up and I'll pay the exorbitant prices to ship it to you wherever you are. So don't worry about all that stuff. We'll make this happen. So yeah, definitely do that and let me know. Just don't forget to let me know, because that's why I'm going to enter you into the giveaway.
And if you're watching us live right now on YouTube, be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed to Jeff Grubb's Game Mess channel yet, that's where we are doing this from. So be sure to subscribe. Ring that bell. You'll get notifications when we go live. Also, you can join our Discord. Jeff, talk about the Discord. You know more about that. That's your Discord.
That is my Discord. Yeah, so join the Discord. It's free. It's open. It's discord.gg/game mess. The link is also in my bio. It should be in the link in the description on YouTube or whatever, and on the podcast service you're using. You should just be able to find it there. But come hang out with us there. It's a lot of fun to hang out. There's always stuff going on. I think over the weekend people were making memes of Mike Minotti and stuff.
There's a lot of Mike memes. Yes,
a lot of Mikey memes. I was feeling pretty good about that. And if you want to get into the secret channels inside of the Discord, there's a way to do that. You join the patreon.com/Jeff Grubb Patreon. That gets you access to those secret channels, and it's a good way to support what we're doing here in terms of these extra podcasts and videos. Is your Patreon still
mostly how games make money themed?
Mostly, yeah. I'm gonna have to take time to figure out how to redo that.
Not to tell you how to run your life, but like maybe you should theme that around one of your more popular. Not that how game makes money is popular, but
yeah, you're right. There was like one episode that had like 4,000 listens, which was really good for that show, and then since then it hasn't done as well. But no, you're right. It's mostly just kind of game mess theme, but there's still some like images that look like it's how games make money. Thing is, I like the tiers. They're named after money, so I don't want to change that.
Well, it's Patreon. It's still all money themed. Yeah. You can name them after different dog breeds now too, right?
No, not gonna do that. No.
Okay, well, it was an idea. You don't have to shit all over it. Yep, by the way, are we swearing on this show? Are we family friendly because we're talking about Nintendo? Now that
you're the host, I'm gonna let you decide that.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess not, right? I think I already dropped an F bomb.
Yeah, you already did.
I'm an F boy.
I can always bleep it later.
You can always bleep it. You have to go in. Whatever. You have to go in because on the iTunes thing, I think on iTunes it says we have clean lyrics. My lyrics are nothing but clean. We should talk about Nintendo because we have a fun show today. We're going to be talking about that expensive Super Mario 64 that got sold. I'm going to ask Jeff what his favorite NES game is, and I also asked our patrons about that. If you want to tell us what your favorite NES game is, you can tell us in a super chat. We'll talk about it in the segment. If you have a question for us about Nintendo, you can also send a super chat, and we will get to that when we answer questions later in the show. So, Jeff, let's start off with this sealed copy of Super Mario 64 that has sold for $1.56 million over the weekend. What is going on with this? You wrote a little bit about this.
Yeah, listen, everything's kind of going crazy in terms of collecting right now. I think video games got selected by Heritage Auctions, which is the company that handles a lot of these auctions and gets a significant cut of these auctions in terms of like the money. I think it was like sort of selected as the next big thing that we can go in, we can bring some big money investors and start pushing this stuff, pushing these prices up and start like treating it like a long-term investment like art or anything else, like it's ripe for the taking. And And listen, that's kind of thing. It's kind of just unavoidable that this sort of thing is going to happen in a market that is as hot as classic game collecting right now. And so a part of me just wants to be like, hey, this is the way it goes. But I get why some people are like, hey, this is market manipulation. And I'm okay. I mean, what do you get? I mean, if you can try to.
Sure. All this stuff is only ever as real as people believe it is, and in this case, like, there's got to be somebody who thinks this is worth something, and somebody who agrees and buys it for that much.
Right, and I'll say that I really don't think it is money laundering, like a lot of people said, because one thing you don't want when you're laundering money is a bunch of headlines saying, hey, look at this thing I did with all this money. That's a pretty bad idea, and they're publicizing it. Like, I just got a PR blast from Heritage Auctions in my email right before this show, and they're like, look, watch the video of people, like, you know, bidding on this thing or whatever. My thinking here is that this should just encourage more people to stop having any hesitation or feeling bad at all about pirating old video games. Is kind of how I feel. Like,
Jeff, we're trying to get out of the Nintendo dog.
I know. And listen, if there's a way, like, I play the legal way whenever I can, but if you want to go back and experience old games, you should do that. If there was like a public library that you could go to get all this stuff and borrow it, and it was super easy to access, I would say do that. Like, I think do that with books, do that with movies.
Nintendo made Super Mario 64 super easy to access if you bought it during their time frame that they allowed.
Right, exactly. And that's a wild thing to do. Then they're clearly that's market manipulation. Nintendo trying to get people to like spend money now because they're afraid it's going to go away. And then you go to Target and you see those things still sitting on shelves. But whatever. If you want to experience old games, that experience is kind of like it's worth going back and just getting the ROMs and playing them however you want. That's kind of where I'm at with this, and I realize that might put us in Nintendo jail, but
we're already there.
But we're already there. You're right. We're already there. But
maximum security, isolation.
I bought most of these games that I want to go back and play all the time, many times, so I don't feel bad personally. But if a kid comes to me and says, hey, I want to play this stuff, and the prices are getting kind of out of hand. Now, of course, you're not going to have to pay $1.56 million to play Super Mario 64. You can get a used copy for a lot cheaper than that. But this stuff will sort of have a knock-on effect where it does move prices up from like, $15, $30 up to like $60, $70. It'll just get more people interested in this stuff. And
it's not like Nintendo's getting that money. It's not like Nintendo's getting any of that 1.56 million here.
Right, they're not. And so to me, if you want to go back to play games, if that's what you're interested in here, you're not like a speculator, you're not someone who is just trying to get in on this, like what a lot of people are calling a scam, but like, I think you should take any means to do that. Go to archive.org and you could find a bunch of ROMs there that are safe and like aren't going to hurt your computer.
All right, you're almost starting to go. Don't tell people where to get things.
Well, archive.org is a legitimate thing. It's like
you volunteering all this?
It's like a legitimate thing. Archive.org is like the Wayback Machine and all that stuff. And
people can figure out how to get the ROMs themselves, Jeff.
And then you talk to Dr. Sunshine. He's behind the 7-Eleven. All right, and just trust me, he's a good guy. And if you need anything else, if you need some like,
that's what it is.
It makes me feel special.
Oh my god. Okay, great. Yes, you buy your video games to the. I mean, look, Nintendo's doing fine, and the ROM market only actually really helps them. Of course, they fight it, and to a point they need to. But clearly, it's a good thing for people to play more old Nintendo games and like them, so that when Nintendo releases a Game & Watch of them, they're like, I want that, whatnot. Why Super Mario 64? Why is this like? It made some sense back when it was just the NES Mario 1. Why Mario 64? That's not a rare game. Like, this was a game they made a zillion copies of. I imagine somewhere in the world there's like a box filled with sealed Mario 64s that somebody just forgot about and is out there somewhere.
And the thing is, we don't know for sure, because a big part of this is that there aren't population reports, which means like we don't know how many 9.8 rated. That's the thing about this. It's like a perfectly sealed copy, and the early N64 boxes were really cheap, and so most of them fell apart. Even if you tried to like, take the game out and then fold the box up all nice and keep it safe, it still kind of fell apart. You couldn't quite get it back together the right way. But we don't know how many are out there, so it makes this price even stranger. But
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Oh, I was going to say, even if someone else is trying to like pump up the price, at the end of the day, yeah, it's okay. Let them try to do that. I mean, this might cause some more headaches, but life finds a way. You should go out there and find a way to play this stuff, and not like get too much skin off your knee about it.
So like the only comparison point I really have is comics. That's what I think of, and I think of like Action Comics 1, the first Superman, that always sells for millions and millions. But like, so that's not just cultural importance though. That is also, this is an old paper only product that was never sealed when it was sold, and it was, when it came out, it was not a big deal. It was just another comic book because it was the first one. No one knew Superman was going to be a big thing. So I understand why that is like expensive and hard to get. But again, this is like Mario 64. At that point, Mario was already Mario. So again, I'm not like, oh, this is a scam, but it is weird that Mario 64 is the one here that's going to be breaking the record.
Yeah, I mean, you can get, there is some cultural importance, and these boxes are hard to maintain, and
Cultural importance,
it is like a really, like a really good version of this really good game. But yeah, I don't think it's worth that much. But I mean, the thing,
clearly it's not worth that much.
Yeah, but what I think like doesn't matter to the person that spent $1.5 million. They think it's worth that much. So what am I supposed to do about it at that point? I think there probably will be some sort of reckoning in this market where this probably will inflate a lot of other prices. I think Kotaku did a story about like some other things that sold at this auction, and one of them was like someone spent $600 or maybe $6,000 on an Xbox 360 copy of Skyrim. And that's even more strange. How can that
possibly be right? It seems like it seems like at least a factor of this is that there's a lot of very rich people who are betting on these things who don't really have that much info, and they're just like, Mario 64, that's a big game, right? That must, or Skyrim. My nephew told me about that. So like, that has to be a factor here, maybe.
I mean, you gotta keep in mind that like a lot of these very rich people that probably are investing in this stuff in the same way they invest in art aren't doing it themselves. They're hiring people to do this stuff for them, and a lot of those people who do that, their job is to find the next thing, go out and find the next thing. So there's a lot of people with a lot of other people's money trying to make this a thing, and it keeps them employed. It keeps it's not a scam so much as just the way things work. And if that feels like a scam to you, like, yeah, welcome to the reality at this point. Like, it sucks, but yeah.
I think I could have been an auctioneer. I think I could.
I think you would have been a good. Yes, you would be a good auctioneer.
Yeah, $5 going over $5 over here. We got $7.
Making me want to spend money.
Here comes $7. All right, everybody, 10. Come on, $10, everybody. $10 for this incredible item.
I don't know what he's selling, but I want it.
See, I think I could do that. I think that should have been my real calling.
You could do it. Yep.
What am I doing being a Nintendog?
Yeah, I don't know, man. You really messed up somewhere along the line. So like, this isn't the only game that sold for a lot of money. Like Zelda, I think Zelda 1, right, sold for like $870,000. And again, that one makes some more sense, right, because it's Zelda 1. But even that, there was like a lot of copies of. Yeah. So at a certain point, I think they are trying to apply what you said about comics to games, and it's not working the exact same way. It's not like Zelda 1 was part of the Nintendo phenomenon at that time, which it's just not the same thing.
Like, we know what the real rare games are, like the World Championship NES thing, which I actually got to play once. There was a guy who had one of those cartridges, not the gold ones. It was a gray one. It was a gray, you can, but he had the actual cartridge, and like, he wanted to sell it, and he wanted me to do a story on it, and he actually flew to my apartment to show me it, and I played it, which was great. I don't think it was worth it for him to do that, but I was like, hey, if you want to do that, okay, sure thing. But so I got to play that. What's the rarest game you own, Jeff? What's the rarest thing in your collection if you had to sell something to make rent?
No, but I don't have very many games anymore. Not really, no.
I have Panzer Dragoon Saga. I have
That's right. Yes. Yeah, you had. I did sell some stuff to make rent years and years ago, and it was like the top loading NES and a bunch of stuff that was in pretty good condition. I've got a DDR mat for the Xbox 360. How much you want for that, Mike? How much?
I would give you one of my $10 Arby's gift cards that we got from that. Actually, those are treasures.
Yeah,
what am I talking about?
I'll take that. Yeah, of course.
How much is the Arby's hat going to be worth on auction someday when I'm dead and I ran my very famous life? Yeah, so obviously,
you gotta bequeath that to your progeny, of course.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Real quick though, I do want to say, like, do you are you a collector? Like you said, you have like Panzer Dragoon Saga.
Yeah,
Do you consider yourself a collector still?
I used to be more of a collector. So, like, we had a used video game store open here a few years ago, and it was kind of exciting. And I got into it a bit, and I had fun. But like once I got to a point where I got the things I really wanted to get. Like I got a really good in condition copy of Mega Man 3 because my copy was in crappy condition. I was like, okay, this one I can keep. Nice. The other one, it's some other things. And even after a while, a bit of that, I was like, okay, this is kind of getting expensive and a little silly. And it turns out that I am actually just happier for the most part playing these games on like a modded PlayStation Classic or what have you. There is something still cool about like,
Of
oh,
course.
I have my actual Super Nintendo with the cartridge in it plugged into a CRTV. That is neat. And I have the games I think I want to play that way pretty much ever. Like I got to that point. But for me, it's like it's a collection, but it's not so much a collection in terms of like I'm obsessed with the value of it all. It really was more just things that I wanted. Like I don't even really have them displayed really nicely yet. Something I'm probably going to do at some point.
I think there's a healthy way to do it, and I think I am not good at that part of it. For me, a lot of it is I do think about the value of stuff. I grew up. I remember as a kid, I liked baseball, okay, but I got into baseball cards because I'm like, these things are going to be worth something, and it was just my brain clicking into being like this dirty little capitalist, like as a child, and I can't turn that side off of me. So and it never makes me happy. It's never enough. Whenever things go down in value, it's like really depressing. And the thing I wrote in the story actually was the issue for me, and this is for me. I know other people are different, but for me is it's hard for me to compare an object. Or it's bad because I have to compare objects to other objects, and then there's always something worth more. There's always something more valuable, and that's where the only real happiness comes from. However, is from that comparison. When I have an experience, when I remember back to playing Super Mario 64, that is like. Even like a different like example, like Balan Wonderworld. Like I played Balan Wonderworld and it was a bad game, and yet it was still a good experience because I played it with people watching me on Twitch, and there's a lot of like fun in jokes about it among our audience and stuff like that. And it's like that experience to me of playing Balan Wonderworld is worth a lot more to me personally than owning a lot of games because I get into this sick cycle of trying to compare it to other stuff.
That's a maturity thing that I think like a lot of people kind of get there at some point where it's like, oh, like even with like souvenirs, right? Used to be like, I need to go and like buy this $20 souvenir, so I have a souvenir, and I'm like, no, I have memories. That's good.
Yeah, right. And it's like in that situation though, apparently like buying stuff when you're on an experience, it makes those things a little bit more valuable to you personally because it's like you associate it with that experience. But even then, you're right. It's like the memories themselves are the real actual thing that, especially when you're relating it to other people and you're telling them the stories about things you did or the way that you enjoyed a game or something like that stuff. That
also
stuff's
helps.
Just more important.
It helps me that I was really into Beanie Babies as a kid. So I learned very quickly about the intrinsic value of things and how sometimes those could fall off pretty quick. All right, let's move on to the next thing here. Yesterday, Atlas kind of opened up a page for the 25th anniversary of the Persona franchise, and they're teasing 7 Persona-related game announcements starting in September. Jeff, now these can't all be new games. Maybe there'll be a spin-off or two. Maybe we're going to see a logo for Persona 6 at the end of this. Some of these have got to be ports, and some of those have got to be Switch ports, right?
Mike, I'm going to ask, what in the hell do you think you're doing bringing this to a Nintendo podcast? This is just going to lead to disaster. No. It's all going to go bad.
Has to be. No, one of these 7 things has to be
really
a port of a Persona game to Switch. It's got to. The Persona 5 Royale, come on. Persona 4 Golden, that should also be obvious. Persona 3 Portable should happen, but I don't know. And here's the thing, right? Like this. All the artwork for this anniversary, the hair's coming out. Whoa. All the artwork for this anniversary like shows like all the protagonists from all the games. For Persona 3, they make a pretty good point of having the male protagonist and the female protagonist that they added in Portable. So I'm like, okay, there's ports have got to be a part of this. They have to be. And what system would you want to port JRPGs on right now, right?
I mean, listen, you're being so logical and you're being so convincing that it can't be real because it's Sega and Atlas and they don't do anything logically or practically or like well reasoned arguments. It's I am afraid of getting my hopes up. I think Christian in our chat was like tweeting today saying like anything to do with Persona that you think is going to happen won't, because it's Sega and they'll just mess it up. I just have very little faith anymore. It feels like they'll find a way to disappoint you still.
Look, they sent out their stupid little survey, right? They asked everyone, do you want Persona games on Switch? And everyone's like, yes. So now they have the stupid data that they need, and they had time to be like, okay, I guess we should do it. And now here they come. No, one of these has to, Persona 5 Royale and Persona 4 Golden must be coming to Switch. Come on. And I would hope for Persona 3 Portable too. If it was like a trilogy, if you just like, oh, they wouldn't do that because they know they could just sell Persona 5 by itself. At least maybe Persona 4 Golden and 3, but I think they'd be separate. But yeah, like all three of those should come. But outside of that, maybe, we already got one of the spin-offs on Switch. So if they're like, oh, there's another Persona fighting game from Arc Systems, which would be great. Maybe that will come to Switch this time because we got Dragon Ball Fighters. One of these, whatever these things are, one of them has to come out on Switch. So I'm comfortable putting it on this Nintendo podcast.
Do you think we get a real Persona on Switch first, or another survey first?
No, we got to get a real one. Now, what I don't think is going to happen, I don't think Persona 6 is going to be something that comes out on Switch like when it launches. No. That'll almost certainly be
that's too good of an idea.
Well, it'll certainly be a PlayStation joint again. Well, like the weird thing about Persona 5 was that game was made for PlayStation 3, so it always could have come to Switch. That always should have been a possibility. Like Persona 6, who knows what's going on? And we've been talking about, we've seen what Ys 9 is doing to the Switch, right? So it's a little rough.
Yeah, I'll just say that I hope you get everything you want here, but I don't believe it personally, and I'm going to continue to have little faith in all of this working out. But good luck to Persona fans.
Right. We'll see. Well, September, these announcements are going to start. We'll see what happens. Hey, IGN had this reveal today. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl coming to Switch and other platforms this fall. It's a Nickelodeon Super Smash Brothers clone, and it looks pretty neat. They got like some deep cuts there, like Nigel Thornberry from the Wild Thornberries, and of course you have a lot of SpongeBob characters. You have Reptar from Rugrats. I think you have Helga from Hey Arnold. So I'm kind of into this. What do you think, Jeff? I know you suck at Smash Brothers, and in fact, it's a point of disgrace for you. Yeah. But maybe if it has cartoon characters that you like as a kid. Actually, were you a Nicktoon guy?
Yes, I was a much more Nickelodeon guy than a Disney guy at that point. Yes. I love like Hey Arnold and Rugrats and all that stuff. The Wild Thornberries was just after me. That was like a little bit after my time. Yeah, but you're a little older than me. Nigel Thornberry has a vibe to him that I really am into.
He's a meme presence too that we all appreciate now.
Yes, I think this is a great idea. This more of these companies should be less afraid of trying to copy Smash Brothers. Just do that thing. They should all keep making kart racers, and they should keep making these Smash Brother clones. And Nickelodeon has the stable to do it. And they made some like real choices with like bringing in like Helga instead of like Hey Arnold or Arnold himself and stuff.
Oblina from All Real Monsters. I had a friend who went as Oblina for Halloween once, and that was pretty great. We had Powder Toast Man from Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
So it's weird because some of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are in this, and I forget that Nickelodeon like makes those shows now. Okay.
Right.
Like to my weird 90s kid brain, that does not make sense.
No, Nickelodeon was not Turtles when we were young, right? They were on it was a completely different, like Fox.
I think it was just syndicated or something. I don't even know. I think eventually it was on something else. But yes, so that is weird to me. The only thing that I don't see yet is some Rocco's Modern Life representation, but we don't know the full roster yet.
Right.
So
well, and they're going to probably do the thing, right? Like if this is a success, they'll do Sakurai Presents or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Like, why not? And I mean, look, it probably won't ever be like as big as Smash Brothers, but it should do well enough. I also like that it's literally has All Stars in the name, like PlayStation All Stars.
Yes, I like that a lot too. All Stars Brawl, they got both names.
Yeah, I'm a big PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale defender. So I am all about Cartoon Network. Somebody just said, I think Cartoon Network did their own for like the DS at some point, right? That was a thing.
That sounds right.
They made their own Smash Brothers clone back in the day. And I remember there was like that. There was that. What's the manga name? Because they had their own on the DS too.
Oh, Jump.
Yeah, Shonen Jump had their own. I remember. Yeah, it was like a cross. They're always a good idea. crossover fighting games. I always like those, and I think the Smash Bros. Formula is a great one that should be copied by more people.
Yes, I agree.
So that is on the radar. All right, so a bunch of other websites that aren't us because apparently we were too lazy. We're asking Nintendo about the OLED Switch and if it fixes the Joy-Con drift. And The Verge did a story on this, and I want to read this segment from the story to you. In a statement Nintendo provided to Wired, Polygon, GameSpot, and The Verge, the company said that the Joy-Con controller configuration and functionality did not change with the Nintendo Switch OLED model. But we didn't ask about the configuration or functionality, as it was pretty clear from Nintendo's announcement that the controllers would be the same. We asked about drift, which is a reliability issue. And when we asked the question again in an even clearer fashion, we were referred to the same statement. So, so the Joy-Con drift's not going to be fixed, right?
No.
That's the way to read into this.
And so there are like legal challenges happening. I think there's a class action lawsuit against Nintendo, and a part of it might be Nintendo just doesn't want to change it to admit that they made something that was, kind of faulty to begin with. And so they might just be sticking this out. And I mean, the thing is they could have changed it a little bit and been like, oh, well, we'll do it in the middle of here. So it's not really a good excuse. It's like the legal challenges, because they'd be like, hey, it's a new Switch with new Joy-Cons. This has nothing to do with drift. And then in the process, just fix drift. And then it would have been very easy to say, no, we just change things because we do this all the time. This is perfectly normal. So my hunch here is that it continues to be a spreadsheet problem where they just look at it on a spreadsheet and they're like, here's our potential liability, here's the potential cost to fix, and here's the potential profits we stand to make if we don't fix it, and we just risk it. And if we don't end up having to pay for that lawsuit, things could go really well for us still. I think it's just kind of the same thing that's kind of been the case here, where they're just trying to get away with it. And and it stinks.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, fake it till you make it. And then the end of this generation, they'll release new Joy-Cons or new Joy-Cons for the next system or whatever they end up calling it, do a completely different sort of controller scheme. But yeah, these things are going to have the same reliability, and it's going to stink. But they could fix it on the current Joy-Cons very easily by using more reliable parts. That seems to be the fundamental issue.
More expensive parts.
And they're more expensive parts, yeah. And they've decided not to do that. And they're still selling a lot of Joy-Cons. They are continuing to fix these things for free. But I bet I bet a significant portion of people just buy new Joy-Cons instead of sending their stuff in, because that's what happened with the 360 Red Ring. They extended the warranty so you could send it in and get it fixed and get it back in 2 weeks. But a lot of people just didn't know that and still bought extra 360s. So
sure.
I bet there's a lot of that at play here as well, and that's not great. I get it. If you want to criticize Nintendo for that, you should. But that's just the reality that we're still in. And for me, I just end up I'm playing on the Switch Lite. I haven't had drift on that yet, so when it's like out of sight, it's out of mind for me. But if it's something you're dealing with constantly, I don't blame you for continuing to be mad at Nintendo.
Yeah, it's happened to me, but luckily it happened right when those GameCube color Joy-Cons came out anyway. So I was like, I want to buy those anyway. I want to go back to the Nickelodeon thing real quick, because I see some people talking in chat. Someone asked about Quailman from Doug being in there, and that's probably not going to happen because Disney acquired Doug at some point in the early 2000s, and they had brand spanking new Doug. Might even be in the late 90s. So you are not going to be getting Doug in that probably, unless they can make a deal with Disney, which I don't think is going to happen. All right, Jeff, do you like Christmas ornaments?
I do. I was looking to get these. I don't think they're on sale yet, right?
They are. They do early sales in July for a limited time in store and online. And I was actually away from the weekend, but I was able to get some online. They actually came in before I decided I wanted to talk about this, and then mine came in. So here are a couple of them. If you're watching the video, I got this one is a Caped Mario ornament from Super Mario World, and that's one that you'll be able to get from Hallmark this year. And then even more exciting is this Super NES console.
Oh, that's so cool.
Super Mario World in it. So last year they had an NES console that you could buy. So they're kind of making their way. I hope they get if they make a GameCube ornament, I'm gonna shit myself. I'm not gonna lie. But there's also a So last year it was like Yoshi as part of like a Mario Kart series, and this year it's Donkey Kong in his carts. Last year they had Mario and Luigi like 8-bit sprites from the first game that you can get as mini ornaments, and this year it's Zelda and Link from the original Legend of Zelda. I love this stuff. I love Christmas a lot. I love these ornaments. You talk about collecting things, but like it's kind of collecting things, but mostly I just like these ornaments.
Yeah,
because well, it's funny and it's interesting because they've always done these pop culture ornaments, and that used to mean like only Snoopy and Disney, like Star Wars, Star Trek, and then eventually like superheroes and all that stuff. And really, just last year, it's like, yeah, we're adding Nintendo stuff to this because that is like something we can make a lot of money from. And we've been seeing that recently, right? With Nintendo suddenly being like, oh, in theme parks, and it's going to be a movie again, and all this stuff. So I think this is just another interesting step in that direction. And yeah, these ornaments look great.
So I want them. Are they still for sale? I think you made it sound like they are already sold out.
I'm not sure. I got these on the weekend. I'm not going to say yes or no. I don't want to give anyone's hopes up. If you're interested, I would check the Hallmark website right now. But even if they are gone now, because again, they do like a preview thing in July.
Okay.
And then they start going on sale for real closer to fall for like the holiday season.
All right.
So yeah, you can look those up.
There they are. Yeah, sweet.
But anyways, Jeff, I think it's time that we get into some questions now. If you guys have a question, you can send a super chat. And we also have some questions from the Discord. So are you ready for these, Jeff? Are you buying ornaments?
I'm buying ornaments, but I can come back and do this. We only have one super chat so far, so if anyone else wants to say anything else, feel free to do that now, and we'll get to them after the Discord things. But this one comes from Jedi Moss 4. With Smash Bros. Ultimate DLC about to be completed, what is the future of Smash Bros. After Ultimate? Do they keep getting bigger or reboot the series?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question, and I've been thinking about this a lot myself, and I do not know, because it's going to be hard to go back to not having every character if they want to do that. It's going to be hard to go smaller again. Jeff, you have a lot of background noise. You're distracting me.
Sorry, I the thing is, they can't hear it, but you can. So
okay.
I could just mute myself while you're talking.
No, you're fine, as long as they can't hear it. I just wanted to yell at you because I hate you.
No, that's fair. I get it. I'm just so beautiful. You can't let me just live.
Yeah. Right. So I don't know what they're going to do for the next Smash Brothers, because like maybe they can just kind of keep building off of this one. But like I thought they were going to do that last time, right, with Smash 4. And apparently, no, it's like they remade all that stuff. It wasn't just like a port that was better to make Smash Ultimate. They remade the game again. Can you do that again with all these characters now? I mean, they added there's going to be like 12, 13 DLC characters alone. Like the smart thing to do would seem to be just to release an update of this game of sorts with more new characters and more levels. Otherwise, you're going to do something gimmicky. You're going to have to do like a double dash move, or there's something really different and strange that can justify why you have to have fewer characters again and all that stuff. I'll tell you what, there's going to be a new Smash Brothers. They're not going to not make one for the next Nintendo system. These games sell incredibly well. One thing they can do as a stopgap is a remake of Melee. People would accept the fact that, oh yeah, it's just the Melee roster and it plays like Melee, just has nicer graphics, or even it's just, I can play it on Switch. They could do that and it would make a lot of sense. I don't know if they would. But otherwise, like I really don't know what they could. It really is Smash Bros. Ultimate in a lot of ways. So how do you one up Ultimate?
Yeah, I think you're mostly right. I just I think we're gonna go for quite some time before another real Smash Brothers sequel. Like we could get close to like 10 years without them doing another one.
Man, 10 years. I don't know.
I think so. I mean,
because they usually come out relatively early. They're usually like a year 2 thing for the new systems,
right?
That's typically when we get Smash Brothers. And again, there's so many questions like what's the new system? Is there a Switch 2? What does that look like? Is it just a Switch Pro, and then we get like a Switch Pro and then a Switch Pro, and we're just kind of getting Switch Pros for 10 years? Then at that point, it's like, do we need a new Smash Brothers at all? Not really. If it's still just a Switch Pro, it can just be that Smash Brothers. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of confusion around that. It is a series where the future is unsure, but there is a future. There's going to be a future. I just don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, I think on the outside, like from the release of this game, like I think it could be like 10 years, just because they need to get someone in charge that wants to make it and have an idea that's worth pursuing at a certain point. I guess you know, you're right. There will be another Smash Brothers. They'll force it if they have to, because it's such a big series. It is like Mario Kart, but I think there's a chance that they take a longer break than normal this time. And you know, if we do get a Switch 2 or whatever, a year 2 might come along and we'll be like, weird, there's not a Smash Brothers right away.
Do you think Sakurai is actually done with the series this time? Because that'll be
so.
Yeah, so that'd be interesting what it looks like without him, and if that's a negative or not.
Yeah, I just think that he's done. I think the way he approached like supporting this game felt like, I'm gonna do everything so that you just like next time it won't even make sense for me to keep doing the same, because I would just be repeating that same game we just made, and that doesn't make any sense. So I feel like that's how he approached it, with the goal of this being the last one.
You want to read the super chat that just came in?
Yes, I do. This is from Zabanese. You guys like Splatoon? Any news on Splatoon 3 development?
I do like Splatoon.
I do like Splatoon. Is that something they showed? Did they show any games in the OLED trailer for the new Switch?
They showed them on the screen. I forget if Splatoon was part of that.
I think Splatoon was in there. I think actually.
I mean, they showed Breath of the Wild too. So yeah. during that, but what does that mean?
Yeah. I love Splatoon, and I always want to go back and play more Splatoon 2, but I just never get around to it, I feel like. But it's one of those games I always have in my system, so I can always go back to it when I do get the time. But in terms of like news about Splatoon 3, I mean, they haven't said anything since they did that debut trailer, really, and it's coming next year.
It feels like a summer 2022 game, right?
Oh, yeah, I think so, because you know we're probably almost certainly getting Breath of the Wild 2 in the fall, like later that fall. So you release Splatoon 3 that summer. That's like a nice big 1-2 punch for that whole year. We'll keep our ears open, but I'm excited for it, and anything that they want to talk about it, like whenever they want to come out and talk about the game, I'll be listening, because I'm very much into Splatoon.
The Splatoon games have surprisingly great single player campaigns, so that's I mean, the multiplayer is super fun, and it'll be really fun this time because there will be more people playing on day one than ever, right? Like Splatoon 2 did well, but it was on a new system. Now there's a zillion Switches out there, and a lot of people are going to get Splatoon 3, so it's going to be a really big ecosystem. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Thanks, guys. If you have any more super chats, you can send those in. We'll read them. Let's get to some of these Discord questions in the meantime. Benji Bob asks, do you guys think Mario Golf is the last Mario sports/leisure game with a single-player campaign? The tennis and golf Switch games got heavily criticized for their story modes. And when you look at Mario Kart or Mario Party, maybe Nintendo doesn't even need them anymore.
Yeah, I think it would be a shame if that's like the reasoning, like, because I think you're right, but it's like it's so timid and sort of like Nintendo. It would be like Nintendo being back on their heels to be like, hey, we tried to do this thing and people didn't like it and said bad things about it. We're not even going to try again. That seems kind of crappy. I would prefer that they keep trying to do that stuff to see if they can crack that nut and make it work with the way they want to make games now. But I think I would lean towards you being more right than wrong, though, because it already felt like this Mario Golf game was something that they wanted to make as a party game for people to play together on the TV, just like Mario Party, just this time with golf. And so I think you might be onto something there, where if that's their focus anyhow, why wouldn't they just sort of drop this thing that they can't really deliver on anyhow? I think that there's something there.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a few times now where they've been like, it's going to have an adventure mode. And even though plenty of times now we know that does not mean it's going to have like the RPG mode from the Game Boy Advance games, we still fall for it. Maybe that's good enough for them. Like, they'll fall for it again next time, maybe. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're going to just keep doing these half-hearted things because it's something you can put on the box, or you can put in the eShop description, right? It has an adventure mode, and you can get people excited about that. Next question from Nick Turbo. Why did Nintendo stop putting music in their digital storefronts? It feels a bit empty going into the Switch eShop. And this is such a weird, like, why does Nintendo thing? Because everybody loved the Wii Shop music thing, right? Like, there's all those covers of it. There's all like these memes about it. People love that. And it's one of those things where Nintendo just doesn't seem to know or care that people love it. It's like, yeah, whatever. We're not doing that this time. It could be easy to, but who cares?
Yeah, it seems like my guess here would be like maybe Nintendo's worried about performance on the eShop, because I think one thing with the Wii U was
lag.
Yeah, like maybe just like loading the song might take a second, and they're like, oh, people were pretty mad about the Wii U eShop, and And now that this thing is pretty snappy, people are spending a lot more money on the Switch. We should not mess with that. So no music. But man, I would imagine it's probably not that hard to get an MP3 to play in the background of the thing. Just come on, make it happen. I loved the Wii and Wii U eShop music. I have some like on my YouTube channel that like they did one for Christmas, and every Christmas I just like put that on because it's just so great. But yeah, hopefully they bring it back one day. But I think maybe it's a Switch Pro feature. The Switch Pro comes out and it's like exclusive to that. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
It'll have an adventure mode.
Yeah.
It'll have all this stuff. It'll be great. Our new outro is actually the Wii Shop music.
That's right.
So,
yep. Yeah, here soon.
It is a thing. From Keywork. Last week, you all admitted to being GameCube F-boys. I don't know why I'm suddenly afraid to say fuck. It's like I'm HBO Max. But yes, over the superior Ultra 64. With that in mind, first part, Spice Orange, Indigo, or Jet Black? So let's answer this question first. I am a big Spice Orange fan. I think the Indigo is very good. And I think if you like Jet Black, you're a coward.
Yeah, listen, I think I got the Indigo at launch, and I think the Jet Black looked very good. So listen, I'm a coward, I'll admit it.
Yeah,
but
look, like you're getting a GameCube, man. Like if you wanted the Black
I got the Indigo.
Get a PlayStation 2.
I got what I got. Listen, I got what I got. But the thing about the Spice Orange was it was so exciting. It was so cool. It came out later, and it just looks so good. It's like, you know, Mike picked it for our like sites cover. Like
we had like this big powwow to redesign like our sites like brand, and we had to pick like a new like color. And I'm like, it's gonna be Spice Orange. Yeah. That's our color now. Like, okay.
So Spice Orange is a pretty easy choice for us, I think. For us GameCube F boys, yeah.
You know what's better than Jet Black is the platinum color that came later. I like that platinum color. That's good too.
I mean, the Panasonic Q or whatever it was, that thing was the best one because it's like this shiny chrome. It's incredible.
His next question is, what is the best licensed game on the GameCube? His pick is Hulk Ultimate Destruction.
There's a lot of good licensed games on the GameCube. The Star Wars Bounty Hunter is pretty good. I think Ultimate Muscle. Ultimate Muscle, I can't remember what the next word is, but something like versus New Generation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the best wrestling games on the GameCube, and it's a great brand, and they've got like, you know, a lot of, it's like those little rubber wrestling characters you got from the gachapon machines. And yeah, there's just like great characters like Dick Van Dyke and stuff like that. And yeah,
we're seeing some great answers from chat. Spider-Man 2 would probably be my pick, although I played that on PlayStation 2 to be honest, but that's probably my favorite licensed game.
But ran better on the GameCube, which was a more powerful system. So yeah,
there you go. The Lord of the Rings 2 Towers game and the Third Age, which is basically Lord of the Rings meets Final Fantasy X.
Yep.
I actually like the James Bond games on GameCube, specifically Agent Under Fire and Nightfire. I like those more than GoldenEye. I found Agent Under Fire also, and I think I'm going to play it again. I liked Agent Under Fire.
That Hulk game would have been my answer if Homeboy didn't take it, though, because that is a fantastic superhero game that I would go back and play all the time. Like right now, I'd go back and play that. It still holds up.
Like the destructible environments are so much fun. I feel like it wasn't too long after that. Well, no, around the same time as when we were getting Red Faction doing that stuff, right? Yeah. So I think we got a lot of good answers there. And then Mogos87 asks, what flavor is Yoshi's cookie? That sounds like a dirty question to me. I know it's not, but it sounds like a dirty question.
All right, I'll add the explicit tag to this podcast.
It kind of looks like a macadamia nut to me, right?
I guess I'll have to Google it. I'm imagining it's a snickerdoodle. But maybe snickerdoodle is like a Scooby snack. Maybe I'm mixing these things up.
I wish it was a snickerdoodle because that's my favorite cookie. Because I'm not much of a sweet tooth, but I like cinnamon things.
Right. Yeah, they look like sugar cookies with like occasional like dried fruit on them. At least on the Super Nintendo version here. But yeah, I don't know. I bet there's like some like slight cinnamon to them. I think that would make a good Yoshi's cookie. That's the kind of thing you like pretend is like a doggy treat, but it's like really, you know, a human thing, and you make it all cinnamony. Yeah, like a Scooby snack.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not chocolate chip though. He's not basic.
No, I mean, it's my favorite cookie is a chocolate chip, and you make fun of me to the day I die from eating too many chocolate chip cookies, but yeah, Yoshi's not basic like me.
No, Nick Turbo wants me to tell you some comment. I don't know what comment you mean, Nick Turbo.
Oh
You
God.
you make lots of comments.
See here. You
Yes,
missed my
I
comment,
think he
Jeff.
means even from the Discord. At some point, he yelled at you for
I
giving
just
Mario Golf a 60 out of 100 or whatever. But you
Oh
can
my
talk about
God.
that
I will
later.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that
What?
later. I see you said the word nut here, and then
I don't
Brandon
know.
Alvarado said nut, and I do not know what you're talking about.
I feel like that was before we even started talking about Yoshi's Cookie, so I'm afraid.
I did not miss your comment. I did not miss it. I just did not know why we're saying the word nut.
Yeah, Forchi asked what flavor is a Minotti cookie, and it's very obviously Arby's sauce flavored. They make those like those not chocolate chips, but like those chips that taste like caramel or something. There's chips that taste like Arby's sauce, and you put them in your cookie. You just get a bite of vinegar and sugar. Oh, that sounds awful. I've gone too far.
And now everyone in
farther.
chat is just chanting nut.
Good. This is great behavior.
Episode
Jeff,
2, and we've lost control already,
you've
Mike.
lost control. We're just saying the word nut a lot. All right, Jeff. I wanted to ask you about your favorite NES game. I thought this would be a fun thing to do for a few weeks here. We can work our way through the systems. I also asked our patrons to tell me their favorite NES game. So we are all going to share here. If you are in chat and you're not a patron, you want to tell us what your favorite NES game of all time is, we'll bring it up on the show if you send it in a super chat. So, Jeff, let's start with you. I told you ahead of time, so you had time to prepare. So I didn't want to spring it on you. I didn't want you to get flustered and scared. So, Jeff, tell me, what is your favorite Nintendo Entertainment System video game of all time?
I mean, I'm still flustered and scared. I mean,
I figured. I was like, I bet I get to him. He's still gonna like think and ponder for a bit.
No, I mean, the obvious answer for me, because I think it's a timeless game, is Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I think that game holds up really, really well today. It's the kind of game where they released it. They did a new version on the Wii, kind of a long time ago now, but it was, a new version on the Wii, and it still was basically the same game because it is such a timeless mechanic of these boss fight after boss fight, and each of them have their own patterns, and the game gives you a lot of visual cues but a lot of audio cues, and you're supposed to like learn how to take advantage of those. And if you like get really good at like spotting open opportunities, or if you take some risks, maybe you get some like bonus stars that enable you to do a tougher punch, and you get rewarded for like knocking them out with that tougher punch. It's so rhythmic and so actiony and so dewy, like you're doing stuff in the game, and it's very like you could be on your toes. You don't like you're sure you're learning the patterns, but you're not supposed to just like learn a pattern and go in there and sort of just do the moves. You still need to be reacting to what's happening and taking in this like input that the game is giving you, and then what you output is like based on whatever's happening in that moment. And it's very much like Tony Hawk and other games that I like loved later on. It's very similar in that way of like you are just responding to the stimuli that's on the screen in that moment, and it fit very well with my little kid ADHD brain. But really, I should have said Karnoff. Karnoff's my favorite.
Not Karnoff again.
I'm gonna make you watch me play Karnoff.
Apparently, you're going to. I'll do it.
Last in the Nintendog stream. How about you? I mean, I have some other games I would love to talk about, but I'm gonna give you a chance next.
Well, I've gone on about it before, but my favorite video game of all time is actually an NES game, and that is Mega Man 3. I think I talked about it in this show already, even somehow. But I love the classic Mega Man games, and Mega Man 3 is just my favorite of the bunch. It has my favorite music. It has these incredible bosses that are so memorable. Like, as a kid, I was obsessed with Snake Man for some reason. I just thought Snake Man was the coolest thing. I loved Proto Man, Mega Man's brother that's in this. This is the first game with Rush, his robot dog friend. Super cool stuff. It had that surprise where you kind of refought all the bosses from Mega Man 2, which was super fun. Just a perfect video game for me. Like, the only problem with it is lag, and if you play like there's ROMs that fix that if you want to. I'm worried about talking about ROMs because I feel like Jeff's gonna just start linking all these suspicious sites into
Archive.org, Library of Congress.
But actually, the where I played Mega Man 3 the most, like outside of like after my childhood stuff, was the Nintendo DS port was great and actually fixed the lag. Like, that was those like eShop versions of the NES Mega Man games were really, really good on there. I played through this game a ton. I actually one time took the effort to beat it without dying once, which was a struggle for me. I know, it feels bad. You see people beating it without taking any damage while beating like world record speedrun times. But that was pretty good for me. So yeah, Mega Man 3, just my all-time favorite video game of all time. So why don't we?
Do you have any notable like runners up? Because like for me, I'm like I could like Zelda 1. I still love so much. Super Mario Brothers is the reason I play games. Should we just like? Are we gonna get some answers like those? Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Why don't we see what our Discord friends said, and maybe they'll cover some of them. And if not, we can talk about what hasn't been brought up.
Awesome.
Here, because Knoble said River City Ransom because 1, you're beating the shit out of people. 2, it inspired Sega to make the Yakuza series, and 3, you're beating the shit out of people. You know what's funny is like I did not play River City Ransom, and then when River City Girls like came out or was on Game Pass, and I finally played it, absolutely loved that. So I actually been meaning to finally go back and play. Like that's a whole gigantic series called Kunio-kun that we only got basically River City Ransom and Super Dodgeball and a few other things, but there's like a zillion games in that franchise that came out in Japan. So I need to play more of that. Christian just said Excite Bike. You're more of an Excite Bike guy than I am.
Yeah, I adore Excite Bike 64, but I love the NES Excite Bike. There's like it's got really great sound and its action's really good when you try to knock other riders off by hitting their front tire with your back tire. I don't know, and like building courses, like I did that for, remember there was like a summer where we just spent a lot of time building our own courses in that game. It had a lot of cool ideas. I like it a lot. I think it's pretty one note compared to like Excite Bike 64, but of course like the series got better as it went, so whatever.
I feel like I was too stupid for Excite Bike as a kid. Like I played it a lot because it was a video game we had in the NES, but I didn't understand the whole like leveling myself out to land on the ground.
It was it was like a technical like extreme sports game even on the NES, and like they kept that spirit, and it definitely had that from the beginning.
You could make your own tracks even on the NES. That's pretty nuts for back then, huh?
Yep, did a ton of that. Yep.
Benji Bob says Kirby's Adventure was one of the first games I ever played that opened my mind to the possibilities of video games. There's so many different enemies you could steal abilities from. The mini games were fun. The bosses were unique, and the worlds were iconic. Even though this is like an iconic game, I think it's an underrated NES game. I think it's absolutely a top 5 NES game. It's one of my favorites. It's actually my background on my PC has been a screenshot I took from the last fight against Nightmare from that game forever.
Right.
One of my favorite final bosses in any video game. That is all done so well. And this is the game that really made Kirby, because Kirby's Dream Land came out first on Game Boy, but that game does not have the copy ability. That's not there. Kirby's Adventure is where that's introduced, and where suddenly you're like, oh, this is brilliant. Oh, this is super fun. There's a franchise here that's going to last for decades.
Yep, I was a Kirby's Dream Land guy, and I think what happened was I played that and I'm like, this is good, but it's like not blowing me away. So when Kirby's Adventure came out, I overlooked it, and since going back to it, yeah, it's a really solid game. It was like a later release on the NES too.
It was later. It was a bit later.
It looks pretty good to this day.
It's like I think it's Nintendo. It might be Nintendo's best looking NES game. I think so. Yeah, very good. It looks amazing, and they remade it on the Game Boy Advance sometime, and that version is pretty fun too. Louis says, I love Star Tropics, but have no recollection as to why. I can tell you why, because even back then, I feel like we saw a lot of the same like themes for video games, like fantasy, sci-fi. So even at that point, it's like having a Zelda game, but set in like Hawaiian Islands was really neat and really fun and really cool. Star Tropics is still like the one I always hope is just randomly comes back someday, but it's tough because it was never released in Japan.
Yeah,
we know a lot of those decisions are kind of Japanese focused still.
Right. Yeah, I'll need to try that game because you always say you like it, but what I hear from other people is they don't. So I'm like, I just see it for myself. But
I think you would like it. Okay. It's a game like a lot of NES games. You'd be better off playing it with a guide these days.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say real quick, we got a super chat from Josh who says Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
That was man. So all of those Capcom Disney Afternoon games are fantastic. Chippendale Rescue Rangers is a lot of fun. It's a really good co-op game too, and there aren't a ton of those on the NES. So it's great for that. Chippendale Rescue Rangers 2, which is a very late NES game, I like even better, and it also has one of the most underrated soundtracks. Like the soundtrack to Chippendale Rescue Rangers 1 is fine. The soundtrack for the sequel is really good. If you can still get that Disney Afternoon collection. It's not on
Yeah.
Switch, which sucks, but it's on PC and I think Xbox still, and it is super fun. And you can
It's
play that
it has
game.
all those games, and they're really good emulation of them too.
They're so fantastic, and no one else said it, but I love the DuckTales games. DuckTales
Mm-hmm.
1 would be a top 5 one for me for sure. Louis also said the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. That shit was amazing. F that water level though. See, you know it's funny because the first game is controversial, right? Because it has a bit of that Castlevania 2 thing where it was one of the first angry video game nerd episodes.
Right.
So yeah, everyone's like, oh, that's a shitty game. And it has issues, but I think a lot of people like that. It's one of the best-selling NES games, that first Turtles game.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I did play
just
it.
remember, I remember the dad from the Wizard playing that when they got to the motel. That's how I remember that game.
I played the second one and the third one, so someone's going to bring up the third one, so I'll save that. Mogos87 though says Marble Madness. I spent countless hours as a kid playing it on my NES. It also laid the framework for games like Marble Blast Ultra, the best game ever made, and countless other classics, including the perverted Japanese game Super Monkey Ball. Is that a pervert game? I didn't know that. I'm excited. I was excited to replay it, but I don't want to be branded a pervert.
I mean, too late. You might as well.
Well, yeah, that's very true. Marble Madness was a vibe, man, because I had that game as a kid, and it vibed differently than anything else. It was weird in a really neat way.
It's a Mark Cerny joint. That's the PlayStation
right.
architect, Mark Cerny. I heard someone met him once recently and was like, "Hey, I love Marble Madness," and Mark Cerny was like, "Oh, great," and like rolled his eyes and walked away. I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right, fine." But Marble Madness was very different from everything else at that time, and I only ever rented it, but it's definitely a game that stuck with me in my brain at that, like, through those years. Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, Jimmy DeBra also says Mike Tyson's Punch-Out was the undisputed best NES game for sure. Probably what I credit to getting me started gaming early. Played it with my dad all the time.
Yeah, me and my brothers like set up our like own like Punch-Out like game that we played in the real world, where I'd be like Little Mac and they would be the bosses, and I would like choose a boss and they would pretend to be them. It was a lot of fun.
Giggy says, so many great NES games mentioned already. One of my favorite memories was playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project, with a friend on a weekend rental. A great beat-em-up brawler and a fantastic follow-up to the arcade NES released Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. Yeah, I played both of these. I liked both of them. They both had great first levels. So in 2, it was like that burning apartment building. In 3, you were kind of like on that boardwalk area. Super fun. 3 was a game made just for the NES, whereas 2 was a port of the arcade version,
Right.
which was fun. But yeah, those were really fun beat 'em ups. And then eventually you get Turtles in Time, which is fantastic. And we have that upcoming Shredder's Revenge that I'm really excited about. Right, and that's going to be good. Giggy also said that I also asked my sisters what their faves are. One was Duck Hunt, and the other said Capcom's The Little Mermaid. I think Little Mermaid's an underappreciated Disney NES game, and Duck Hunt is forever a classic. Yeah, Little Mermaid is also a Capcom one, so yeah, it falls. I don't think it's quite as good as like DuckTales and Chip and Dale, but it's still Capcom. Right. It's still pretty good. Yami Seth says, my probably favorite and most played NES game is World Cup. I had it in the triple pack with Tetris and Super Mario Brothers. World Cup is the only football game that can rival Mario Strikers. It's pure joy, and of course with the great character design from River City. So I think that's a Kunio-kun thing too.
Yeah, I think it's in that Kunio-kun collection. Yeah, I think that's cool. I've never played that, and I think I will.
Yeah. So those are the answers we got. Thank you so much, everybody. So what are some of the honorable mentions you wanted to bring up, Jeff? That we didn't. Isn't it interesting? No one said a Mario game.
Yeah, no one said a Mario game. I think the Mario games are obviously they're standouts, but I mean, people talk about them so much. What else is there to say? I'll say Super Mario Brothers 2. I think gets unfairly maligned occasionally, and
I think
it
people
is
have
also
been really
great.
coming around to it lately. I
hope
think its
so.
stock has risen.
It's fantastic. It still is. It's a great platformer. And it was very different, and like sure it was about like running and jumping, but like giving you this pickup mechanic was really good. I don't know, no one like said Zelda either, right? So yeah,
no one said Zelda. Zelda, I like Zelda 1. Zelda 2 is like almost one I'd rather own more because it's so interesting and different.
Right.
I think both of them are games that reward you for kind of playing them a lot and kind of mastering them. But I actually find that Zelda 2, like 2D sword and shield combat, really satisfying. Yeah, we did get a lot of like Nintendo first party things there. No one said Metroid, but like Metroid and the Zelda games, and kind of the a lot of the Mario games. They have better SNES versions, really, for the most part. Oh, Raymond Mogos just said a forgotten NES gem is Jackal. That's a Konami joint, which is good. And
I've never played that.
yeah, that one's gosh, I think it's like a top-down shootery thing, if I'm remembering correctly. I was thinking Konami. No one said the Castlevanias. 1 and 3, I would put.
Right. I like Contra a lot as well. Contra is very good.
Super C or the first Contra?
The first one. That was mine. I like Smash TV as well, and
Smash TV was on the NES. Weird.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I played a lot of it on the NES.
So it's like Commando, Bionic. I will tell you this. I think that
Bionic Commando,
if you just gave me all the games from Nintendo, Capcom, and Konami, I would be pretty good. I feel like I'd be missing a few things.
Sure.
But if I had just those, like I'd be missing. Someone said Crystalis, you'd be missing Crystalis.
You'd be missing Final Fantasy and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, I didn't play the NES version, but when I finally played Dragon Quest 3, which was Dragon Warriors 3 on the NES, that's the best 8-bit RPG I've ever played. That is very good. What's your favorite sports game on the NES?
Tecmo Bowl, absolutely. Super Tecmo Bowl, which was on the NES, even though it had Super in the name. Super Tecmo Bowl is something we played. Yeah, we played it nonstop. Played it so much. Me and my brothers all played it. I played hooky to stay home from school to play it some days. I love that game. Yeah, we had Tecmo Bowl, and then when Super Tecmo Bowl came out, I remember I played hooky and went and rented it myself during the day. Walked to the store and got it. It was I love that game. How about you?
So not RBI baseball, which was good, but I actually really liked Bad News Baseball, which had a bit more of a cartoony aesthetic and a fantastic baseball game. I loved that. It was super fun. Oh, Jason McLovin brought up Willow was unironically amazing on NES. That was Capcom. It's basically a Zelda clone made by Capcom, and it's very good. Yep. And it's one of the more, if you look up hidden gems on the NES, that'll come up a lot. It's always kind of fun to see these underrated NES games because most of us have played Mega Man, Castlevania, Mario.
Yeah,
there's a lot there.
Brian says, have you played with the updated roster on Super Tecmo Bowl? And I've done that a few years where people will update the roster to the current modern day teams and everything, and you can just put it on as a mod and play it through an emulator. And I've definitely done that. Yeah, absolutely. People still hold Tecmo Bowl championships and everything, so it's still a lot of fun.
The one last one I want to bring up is Bubble Bobble. I loved Bubble. Bubble Bobble is the game that was at my grandma's. My grandma had an NES just for us to play when we were there, and she had Bubble Bobble, and me and my brother just loved playing Bubble Bobble. That was so much fun. That song, that's gonna be playing in my head on my deathbed, I guarantee you.
Did you know that they made a fighting game starring Karnov called Karnov's Revenge? And it was actually a Neo Geo game.
Fascinating.
Yeah, Karnov is plays like a rich guy. He's like a rich guy who got done with his travels, and now he's decided to put on a tournament, and he's like the main character.
Oh, wow.
He's the Ryu.
That actually sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds great. I played it for the first time on this thing, which I'll talk about in a minute, and it's it's pretty wild. It's just an SAK fighter. It's pretty good. Yeah.
All right. I think that's going to do it. Thanks so much, everybody, for giving us your answers. Next week, we are going to be doing Super Nintendo, Jeff. So start pondering. All of you, start pondering because we're going to be going through the systems here. Jeff, have you been playing any Nintendo games? I've been playing a couple that I actually can't really talk about. So this segment really might be all you.
Okay. I beat Mario Golf, and I did a review, so if anyone wants to go read that, you can. But I kind of will finalize my thoughts here as well. It's a game that I like, that I enjoyed playing while I played it, and I even enjoyed the adventure mode more than I thought I would. Which is to say, I played through it and I beat it and I saw credits there instead of Mario Mario Tennis, where it was such a miserable experience to get through that one. This was this is fun. My character is leveling up, and that stuff all feels good. But now that I've beat the adventure mode and I'm looking around what do I do now? My options are basically try to get friends together to play with, which is a totally viable thing. People can do that. It's just it's difficult for me personally. Or I could play against the AI in some of these modes. What I would love for the game to have is what the 3DS game had, which is this asynchronous multiplayer thing of tournaments where you go in there and you just you compete, you do the tournament, you get your score, and then all your friends do that as well, or strangers, whatever. It doesn't matter at that point. It's just whoever's playing it, and then that's how you compete. And it's like you could do it on your time. You don't have to worry about getting people together. But Nintendo did not make this game for me. I am not made for this Mario Golf game. Instead, it is very much about, yes, this is a party game. This is something you're supposed to sit down with your friends, and that is okay, but it's not. I feel like it's missing stuff that would make it work for even more people. I think that the other audience, the party game audience, might be bigger and might be very much the people who picked up Switches throughout the pandemic and over the last several years. But there's a way to like placate both audiences, and it feels like this game misses out on the one where it's like, hey, I would like to keep kind of playing this on my own time, as like on my own, but it doesn't really give me a lot to do now. I just feel like I'm gonna put this game down and probably never pick it up again, except for maybe the occasional situation where I have friends over or I'm traveling and hanging out with family somewhere, and we're like, hey, we could put the Switch on the TV and play this game. Maybe I'll do that. If you are someone who like plays a lot of games with your kids, or you do have regular game nights and people get sick of Smash Brothers and they're like, hey, let's take a break and let's play something else, I think Mario Golf is something that could work really well in that scenario. But it's one I just do not find myself in very often. So I'm a little disappointed with the final product.
Yeah, it sounds like something I feel okay skipping, especially because there's so many things on Switch I'm going to be playing soon. Skyward Sword, Great Ace Attorney, Neo, World Ends With You, that I like playing those Mario Golf games fine. I'm gonna be okay skipping it and not spending that $60. Hey, we got a super chat question in here from Metroid. It says, hi, Mike and Jeff. Why hasn't Nintendo released a localized version of Mother 3 yet? Have you ever heard of any rumors that Nintendo will bring this out sometime? This is up there with why aren't more Persona games on Switch for me? I just have no idea. There was a joke for a while where Steven Totilo would bug Reggie about this like every year.
Yeah.
And Reggie knows, and Reggie must have tried to get it done. And for some reason, Nintendo Japan was like, no, we're not doing it. And it's like, how much resources could it possibly take to localize it? I hope that maybe Nintendo is noticing what Falcom is doing, where they're taking the fan translation for Trails from Zero and Trails of Azure, I think, and they're just using that as the basis for the actual localization, because why not? That's the problem, right? It's so much work, so much text. Well, somebody's done the work. Just pay them. They'll be super happy about it. The fans will be happy about it. It'll be like a feel-good story for everybody, and use that as the basis. I just don't know. For some reason, I feel like Nintendo would just like, well, I never. The fan translation.
I think there are some legal pitfalls where you do not want to get involved in scene drama, and if you pay that group and you pay them money and say, okay, we're using it, someone could come out of the woodwork and be like, hey, actually I did most of the work on that, and then I got kicked out of that group. You got to pay me. Nintendo wants to avoid that stuff, obviously.
But even still, then just translate it yourself.
I mean, at that point, just hire whoever's working on that project now to do a fresh translation from scratch in a clean room, and they'll be able to do it really quickly. They've done it before. There's ways around it. You're absolutely right. It just seems like there must be some sort of philosophical stance against, like, this game won't work anymore, or that's not the kind of game we make anymore, or
stupid.
Right.
I've never played Mother 3. I know the fan translation is good, and a lot of people just say just play that, and it's like, yeah, I know, and I should, but I'm just like, no, I want it to be all official. Like, I don't know why it matters for me. But it does.
I want to play it, but I want to I've never played through Earthbound, and I was going to play Earthbound 0, but I'm like, I might just play Earthbound first and then go from there.
I think it's a bit Final Fantasy-ish. I don't think they're like really related. So
right, that's true. But I still wanted to play Earthbound first. Yeah,
I know what you mean. But I thought I heard that there's some sort of religious thing in there, and we know that stuff is always trouble. But also, like, you can kind of get over it. Final Fantasy 13 had us killing the Pope at the end, and everybody was fine. Like,
now listen, Mike, but if you do want to get that fan translation, I know a site where you can get some.
I'm sure.
I can hook you up,
sure, it's everywhere. Right. I'm sure it's everywhere.
Archive.org is a legitimate website, Mike. It's legitimate.
If you say
HTTP
Okay, all right, all right, all right. You're done. Why don't you tell me about what else you've been playing, Jeff?
So earlier I was saying like collecting stuff doesn't make me happy. Well, I'm not happy that I bought another one of these things. It's a little handheld. This one's from Ambernick, which is one of the standout names in these like Chinese emulation handhelds right now. And this is the RG351P. And that P just means plastic. They have a metal version, and they have a vertical version too that looks more like a Game Boy and has a 4:3 screen. This one has the 16:9 screen, and it's really, really good at Game Boy Advance games. But it's got you could do a lot of it emulates a lot of systems really well.
And what up to like PlayStation or below PlayStation or beyond?
PlayStation, Nintendo 64, and Dreamcast, and it seems pretty good at all of those. The Dreamcast runs pretty slow. PlayStation can have its issues, but a lot of that comes down to optimization and running the right games or whatever. But everything before that runs really well, and I think beyond it's not just that it's like it's handy. I think they do a really good job of setting these systems up to like maximize like the nostalgia. A good example of that is they apply some filters to the Game Boy Advance one. You might say, oh, that's gonna look crappy. It looks really good. I'm gonna try to show it off here. Let's see. It's gonna start. You probably won't be able to see it too well, but it's gonna have the splash screen. But when it shows like the Game Boy Advance splash screen, you can see like the filter on it looks just like a Game Boy Advance screen. You can't really see it on camera here, but
I know exactly what you mean though. Yeah,
it has like the tint to it, and the pixelization looks really good. And I've been really enjoying it. It's a really solid system. I previously got the Arcade 2020, and I was happy with that. It had a smaller screen, but it came with a broken shoulder button, and they wouldn't replace it because they stopped making the Arcade 2020. So that was kind of a bummer. So, but I'm even if I had that and it was working, I still would have got this because I think the bigger screen's good, and it's even better at handling like PlayStation and N64 games.
How much is that?
This was $85, and okay. I think I got it. And the thing is, I got it from AliExpress.com, which is the Chinese site, and like a Chinese Amazon, basically.
You're just throwing out all sorts of fishy websites this week, aren't you?
Okay, the AliExpress is like $1 trillion company.
Okay,
that's
right. You say so. And it has the name Ali in the title.
Yeah, it's AliExpress. It's fine. This is legit. But they ship these from the United States, so it only took about a week to get here, which was like really nice. Because if you get it from China, it could take like a month. And I waited a long time for like my Metroid Pocket 2 because I got that from China. They already had this here waiting to ship from the United States, so that was really nice. But I like really recommend these things. I think if I had to choose between like the Metroid Pocket 2, which has the 4:3 screen and is Android based, and this thing, which is like it's running its own like Linux OS that's like made for handling old games, and has the 4:3 screen, it's going to depend on what you want. If you want to emulate a lot of like classic consoles like N64, Super Nintendo, and Genesis, and all that stuff, I would go with the Metroid Pocket. If you want to handle more handheld games, especially Game Boy Advance, then I would go with the RG351P. But I'm gonna spend even more time with it. If there's a good resource, retrododo.com, and the Retro Dodo YouTube channel, they do a ton of reviews of this stuff, and it's a really good resource. And they highly recommend this one. And I've had no complaints so far. It's been really good. And even the plastic body feels really solid, and it's like a nice build to it, and feels like it's gonna last. So I like that.
It's an attractive looking system.
Yes, and I like this purple color quite a lot. So yes. I'm very happy with it. Yeah, let's see.
What have you been playing on there?
What have I been playing? I've been playing Castlevania: Circle of the Moon, and I've been playing Metroid Fusion. And Metroid Fusion is the one I was playing a lot last night. I think that game is better than I gave it credit for.
Right, because I remember I was kind of like, you weren't like super down on it, but when we did our Metroid tier list, I was like, no, this is like the second. Not the S tier, but the A tier.
Yeah.
And you're like, if you say so.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it'd been a long time, and I just remember being like, something about it didn't sit well with me. And it's like, yeah, the cutscenes and the dialogue, there's still a lot of that stuff, but it's not nearly as much as I remembered.
Right.
And all of the exploration stuff and finding and upgrading Samus, all that stuff still works so well. And
it's a little bit more like hand-holdy than like Super Metroid, and Zero Mission's going to be even worse about that.
Yeah,
but it's not like you're still there's still plenty of room for exploring.
Yeah, absolutely, and it still feels very good to move around. The design is very good. It looks very good. So yeah, Metroid Fusion is fantastic. It turns out. So I'm going through and I'm playing through a lot of old Metroid games right now. I was playing Metroid Zero Mission on the Retroid Pocket, but now I'm going to play it on this because it'll look better on this system. But yeah, I'm going to beat Fusion and I'll probably play Zero and then probably right before Dread I will try to beat. Would be Super Metroid? No, Fusion is the one. Okay, yeah. So I'll probably play Super Metroid again right before that as well, and then go into Dread. And so yeah, I'm in a Metroid stage right now. What are you trying to
ask? Like, what's the
what's
timeline?
the one right? Well, what was the one right before?
The timeline is Super Metroid.
Right.
The timeline Super Metroid, then Fusion, then
right.
Dread.
Yes.
And then
I realized
Other
that as I was
M
talking.
is in between Super Metroid and Fusion, so that's the one you need to play is Other M.
I will stream Other M. I've decided actually because Fusion. I think Fusion is like all the story bits in Fusion is referencing Other M, right?
Well, no, because I mean, Other M sort of references it because Other M's later. Other M's is a good deal later, but yeah, like they're related. Those two games are pretty related, but Other M takes place first.
All right, I'll play Other M. I will stream it. Yeah. I just messed up your camera. I'm gonna fix that while you are talking. So, so you said you can't talk about what you've been playing?
Not really. No. There's some games that I'm reviewing. I was doing my Donkey Kong Country thing for a bit, and I'm sort of in the middle of Donkey Kong Country 3, and I'm enjoying that. Even though like I lowered my expectations because everybody says that's the worst of the three, but I was enjoying it quite a bit. So it has a kind of a Great North aesthetic to it. So like Donkey Kong Country 1's like all like, you know, tropical island. 2 has the pirate thing, and this is like Canadian in a pleasant way. Almost, yeah.
No, that sounds nice. I would love that right now.
Yeah. So like there's lots of bears there. Yeah. But like, you know, and I think it wasn't made by the Rare A team, I think is why people kind of, you know, are down. And the big obvious one is that it's not Kirk Wise doing the music. And I told you about that, how he came back to do the music for the Game Boy Advance version, which is weird.
David Wise, you got it mixed up. Kirk is the other one.
What's Kirk? Who's Kirk Wise again?
No, not Kirk Wise. It's Kirk. He's the other Rare musician. Rare.
I think Kirk Wise is a Disney guy. Kirk Wise, I think, is a co-director of Beauty and the Beast, and I think that's why I said Kirk Wise. Now that I think about
rap lyrics.
DK rap.
Yeah, he's the there's a Kirk. Yeah, who wrote that? Grant Kirkhope.
Okay, that's not where I got that. I was getting Kirk Wise because of Disney. Is why I messed
fair
up.
Enough.
By the way, I realized where I got the name Last of the Nintendogs. The guy who wrote some Disney movies, including Atlantis, and he was on our '90s Disney podcast. He also wrote a movie called Last of the Dogmen, and that was subconsciously. Everyone assumes it's Last of the Mohicans. Where I got this from is from this movie, Last of the Dogmen. That's where I subconsciously stole this from.
For me, I always associated it with Dogtown, and I think there was some like Last of Dogtown or something like that, which is like the skateboarding
Dogtown?
movie. It's like the old skateboarding crew, like the first skateboarding crew.
The first skateboarding crew would be like the people who invented the skateboard?
Yeah, the people who were like invented making skateboarding cool in California in the 1960s and 70s. Dogtown documentary. What is it called?
Hey, you should
Dogtown and the Z-Boys is what it's called.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, Jeff. I think that's about it though for this week.
All right. That was a good episode. I like talking about Nintendo video games, Mike. This is fun.
And thanks again everyone for joining us. That was definitely fun. Be sure to give us a like. Be sure to leave a review if you want to win Jeff's copies of Ori and the Blind Forest, Ori Will the Wisp, physical copies, still sealed. He's going to send this out to somebody. Just tweet at him. What's that hashtag you wanted, Jeff?
That hashtag is hashtag Indogs or hashtag Nintendogs. Either one's gonna work.
If Nintendogs makes you uncomfortable like me, you can use hashtag Nintendogs. There you go.
We have about 45 seconds. You should tell people where they can find you.
Find me on Twitter at Tokoto, TOLKOTO, and also check out 90s Disney, my 90s Disney podcast at 90sdisney.com. Games Beat the Sides will be recording on Friday. We'll be on the same YouTube channel. Check out Games Beat the Sides on all your podcasting places.
I'm at Jeff Grubb. Get me on Twitter. Come find me there. Everything you can find everything else out from there. That's the best way. It's like a little hub, but also the Discord, discord.gg/GameS. Come hang out with us. People are always talking about Nintendo there. We talk about all kinds of stuff. Mostly right now we are talking about Mike Minotti though. So if you want to come do that, yeah. All right. Anything else, Mike?
Nope. Let's get out of here.
Bye.